All right, Matt, thank you so much. Incidentally, the wind has really kicked up here at Ground Zero. The flag, the giant flag, is fluttering against the facade of the building. And we're all feeling like Dorothy before she got to Oz here. So we apologize if it's affecting our microphones and other aspects of this broadcast. Meanwhile, in the wake of the terrorist attacks, the government immediately instituted new security measures. The president set up the office, as everyone knows by now, of Homeland Security. It became a new cabinet-level department. Still, believe it or not, 63% of Americans in a recent AP poll say they are at least somewhat concerned that the steps taken to fight terror could end up limiting individual freedom. We want to take a look now at some of the tools the federal government has for fighting terrorism in this country and around the world. And we're going to start with NBC's Justice correspondent, Pete Williams, who is at the FBI this morning. Pete, good morning.
Katie, good morning to you. For most of its nearly 100 years, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has judged its agents by their records of arrest and prosecution, by how many people they put in jail. Now the FBI has a new mission, and it's scrambling to meet it. The FBI didn't need any advertising to recruit the new class of agents now training. More than 47,000 applications came in online for 900 new positions. Besides learning how to catch bank robbers and kidnappers, they're now getting double the amount of training in counterterrorism compared to a year ago.
Across the FBI, there isn't an agent or a support person out there who doesn't understand that our principal function, mission at this point in time, is try to prevent another attack such as September 11th.
The FBI director, who took the job just 1 week before the 9/11 attacks, is trying to change a long-standing FBI tradition, one that made field offices nearly autonomous. The challenge now, get agents to act less like cops and more like intelligence officers by pushing information to the FBI's headquarters in Washington. The most dramatic example of the problem was made public by Colleen Rowley, an agent from Minneapolis, where investigators who'd arrested Zacarias Moussaoui did not know about a memo from a Phoenix agent concerned about a rise in Middle Easterners attending U.S. flight schools.
The shift in the Bureau has been from a understanding that we have to gather evidence to put it into a courtroom to an understanding that every piece of information that comes to our attention in the course of an investigation has to be analyzed to see whether it's a piece of a puzzle that'll paint a picture that will give us some insight into the next attack.
FBI Director Mueller is now reassigning 500 agents from drug and other investigations to counterterrorism. But some question whether switching 500 out of a total agent force of 11,000 is enough.
There's still a lot of resistance from out in the field from special agents in charge. They want to work the cases they want to work, and sometimes counterterrorism isn't that high priority even now for them.
The FBI also hopes to use advanced data management to help its analysts look for telltale patterns that could reveal potential terrorist attacks. Bob Chiradio helped develop the plan for updating the Bureau's data system.
The idea is to be predictive, to skate to where the puck's going to be, to use a hockey analogy, not to skate behind the puck or to skate where the puck was.
But to do that will require a top-to-bottom change in the FBI's wildly outdated computer system. Its best central computers run 60 times slower than those in many businesses, and field offices have desktops years behind the current standard. An example of how antiquated the FBI system is, a year ago the FBI had to send pictures of the 19 hijackers to its field offices by mail because the computers here aren't good enough to handle email. Katie?
All right, Pete Williams. Pete, thank you so much. Meanwhile, NBC's chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell has been covering the Central Intelligence Agency. She joins us this morning from the State Department. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning to you, Katie. Well, the key question 1 year after 9/11 is how has the CIA changed in response to the attacks on America?
Start here in the heart of the counter-terror operation, now the chief focus of the agency. More than 1,000 people, now including many from the FBI, in offices spread throughout 2 buildings at Langley. Trying to rebuild an agency its leaders say was badly eroded after the end of the Cold War.
The Berlin Wall came down. People believed that perhaps there wasn't as much need for a clandestine service, the organization that I have the privilege of running. Those of us who were in the business didn't agree with that, but we had to deal with what we had to deal with.
I'd like you to stand now and raise your right hand.
The post-9/11 counter-terror strategy rests partly on new recruits for the clandestine service. More diverse, the agency hopes better able to infiltrate terror networks. An agent we'll call Suhalia is less obviously American, especially when wearing the veil in the Middle East or a burqa in Afghanistan.
What languages do you speak?
I speak 5 languages, including 2 Middle Eastern languages and French and German.
But even the best new agents cannot become skilled operatives overnight.
The truth is that it'll take anywhere from 5 to 10 years to train the young case officers that are being hired right now.
And still being debated even a year later, how much information should the CIA be sharing with other intelligence and law enforcement agencies?
I'm not sure that they're sharing all the information that they should. I think they're sharing more.
Once they turn over all the raw information that exists in CIA to Immigrations and Naturalization Service, to Customs, wherever, the integrity of the CIA is destroyed.
Despite closer cooperation between the CIA and FBI, more recruitment, and expanded counter-terror efforts, will it ever be enough?
How can Americans be sure that it's not going to happen again?
I don't think Americans can be sure that it won't happen again. Sadly, the terrorist is a determined lot wherever they are, and they are all over. There is no perfection in my business.
Of course, the CIA can't tell the public how many attacks, possible attacks, they've actually prevented in the last year since 9/11, but their one abiding terror is, as they go to sleep every night, is that they will never be able to prevent them all. Katie?
No such thing as perfection, Andrea, but certainly room for improvement. Andrea Mitchell with the State Department. Andrea, thank you so much. Meanwhile, NBC's Robert Hager covers the airline industry, the aviation industry. He's at Reagan National Airport with a look at how that industry has changed in the last year. Bob, good morning.
Morning, Katie. We'll start with a little bit of news here. It's a very slow flying day, as you can see behind me from that ticket counter. People just staying away in droves. There was an incident this morning. A Northwest flight from Memphis to Las Vegas was diverted to a military base at Fort Smith, Arkansas, just after takeoff, after 3 passengers were reported to be acting strangely. The FBI is questioning those 3 men now. More evidence of how everything has changed in our world in a year's time, but maybe nothing so dramatically as the way we fly.
We get to the airport early now, unsure whether the wait will be 10 minutes or 2 hours.
Take anything metallic out of your pockets and put in the plastic bins, please.
We patiently show identification, empty our pockets, watch our carry-on searched in intimate detail, sometimes take off our shoes. Small children are wanded, supposedly for explosives, grandmotherly women as well. And when we're at last ready to board,
you are going to San Francisco, flight 659.
We go through some of it again.
Please have your photo IDs and your boarding passes out and available.
Once in the air, if it's in or out of Washington's Reagan National, we must stay seated, sometimes for the whole flight. Can't even use the lavatory. What a hassle compared to a year ago. But is it safer? Most experts say yes, somewhat. But there are gaping holes. There's virtually no screening of cargo. Thousands of ramp workers never pass through a metal detector. And the government will miss a previously envisioned year-end deadline to put all check bags through big bomb detection devices like this. Instead, we'll often rely on a swab check, which takes more time. Denver Airport Aviation Manager Bruce Baumgartner's worst-case scenario.
The wait times for these people to get through security will be 3.5 hours.
And while screeners seize penknives and scissors, when fake guns and explosives are sent through as a test, they go undiscovered 25% of the time. With the new, better paid and better trained federal screeners all in place by November, that should improve, says Transportation Secretary Norman Mineta.
That kind of false testing that we've had in the past will go down appreciably.
But it's a different sort of change, a change in attitude that may be the most important of all. A new willingness by passengers and crews to get involved fast if there's trouble in flight. At J.K. Lee's Self-Defense School in Milwaukee, flight attendants and frequent flyers learn how.
Let me go! Boom, man, please, out of the way!
They're taught to use anything on the plane to fight back, like the fire extinguisher, for instance, and avoid being taken hostage. And with the numerical advantage of a plane load of passengers and crew, it may be this new, more aggressive view is the best protection against another 9/11.
But again, on this day, on this anniversary, many are simply staying away from airports and airplanes. Katie?
All right, Bob Hager at Reagan National Airport. Bob, thank you so much.